You just tuned in
You
to
probably
Up
get
for Discussion.
burned out and stuff like that. Alright, should be live. What is it? This is buddy, yeah. We here? Hi, Elvis.
Yeah, it was back.
There we went live. You have to start the countdown over. Nathan, that's a nice hat. Some dude like, yeah, merino wool. Yeah, it's pretty warm. Right now it is. I was looking for
Very
my ball,
much so.
I was looking for my ball cap and I couldn't find it. I was like, how much time do we have? Oh, now, 1:45. Which that's behind.
Is it 125?
1:20.
So I'll probably just periodically pull out, we'll get a bottle, bring it in, and talk about it.
Hey, find out what really. Hey, Wes, your screen of your phone is on the screen.
Try to put you in a tight spot.
All right, 10 seconds, fellas. All right, here we are this evening for Up for Discussion podcast. We've got some special guests this evening. One of those being Doug Doty, and the other being the other being PJ Reilly. So we're pretty excited about this podcast. This is episode number 44, and yeah, so.
Man,
44 episodes. Yeah.
We do that in a week. Yeah. Some weeks.
Yeah. So it seemed like everything's coming through.
I just checked your audio. I heard it, so we're here.
You can hear me?
Yeah, there's
Okay.
more than just us moving around on the screen.
Yeah.
We've done that a few times.
So, yeah.
3 minutes in, someone comments, but
This
got it.
This has been an interesting thing that we've looked, a learning experience, that's for sure. So,
yeah. If you had to get me to get it on, it wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a thing.
yeah. So, one thing that we're going to be talking about this evening is all the new bows that have been coming out, and anything in the archery that's kind of piqued your interest. There's new releases, it seems like, every week right now. And why do you think that they've done that? Let me ask you that.
I don't know. We were just talking about this last week because they're releasing these bows right in the middle of hunting season.
Yeah.
I've often wondered that too. Seems like there'd be a far better time.
So everything used to go at ATA,
Yeah.
and then that went away, and then it just started getting earlier and earlier
Sure.
and earlier.
Who was Matthews first to set the trend that way? And everybody
It
followed? or-
might have been
It seems like in my head it was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
because there was a period where they stopped going to ATA, and so then they were launching in November. It very well could have been.
Yeah.
I don't remember the timing of it.
Well, as a guy that owns a shop, it seems like a terrible time.
It sure does.
Like it really, there's elements of it that is exciting, and new guys coming in wanting to check things out. But there's also elements that it's like this wrecks the system. But
Seems like September 1st would be amazing to release every year.
or August 1st, or
Right.
Yeah.
In time for guys to set up their stuff for that year
Sure.
and make their decisions because they've already got everything they need now.
Right.
Well, I remember a time when it was ATA, and
Yeah.
it seemed like that was when everybody released everything. And it seems like they've progressively gotten earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
So
Everybody
Who
got
was the
this.
first this year?
uh,
Elite or PSE?
I think it was Elite.
One of them
Yeah.
was October.
I'm just hoping that they progressively get earlier and earlier to the point
I
where
would like that.
it's preseason. So
I think that would be amazing. So all you people that are listening that have control over that,
yeah.
Let's make this happen.
let's see if we can make that happen.
Uh,
Do you
yeah.
think it would? Do you think it would influence sales in a different way, or do they perceive? I know there's people way smarter than me that's probably making these decisions, but sometimes you get a guy that's like, well, I ain't buying one in November. Well, then next year he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna get the next year bow now anyway because I'm liking this one or something. I just wonder if they like September. Everybody's getting excited.
Yeah.
Around here anyway, and I guess there's probably other places that they're hunting in September. So maybe
Sure.
August.
Yeah.
Maybe August would be better.
Yeah. So let's start out talking about that, PJ. You're here in Illinois.
Yep.
You're hunting with Doug
Yep.
from Illinois Whitetail Services, and you've been doing that for several years, right?
Correct.
19.
19 years.
19 years.
You can't be that old.
Speaking of that, you just had a birthday yesterday?
Yesterday.
No kidding.
I just turned 35.
Yeah.
No birthday buck.
No birthday buck.
No, not this time. No.
Yeah.
Finally broke 35. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I thought
Yeah.
you were older than me.
well, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah.
How's your experience been over that 19 years? Do you feel like
Oh,
Illinois is one of your highlights of the year? Or?
It ruined Pennsylvania for me.
Yeah.
That's how I think about that. Yeah. Just because the number of deer, the size of the deer, it just doesn't compare.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Did you always live in Pennsylvania?
I've always lived in Pennsylvania
Yeah.
my whole life.
Huh.
And it's just not. It's like two different planets.
What
That's
do
hilarious.
you think the number one? What's the number one reason? I know most people's going to say
No
crops,
people.
but no people.
No people.
So per square mile, there's way more.
I
hunters.
sat. What was that Sunday? This blew me away. I was sitting there. I sat in this one section of woods off this road. One vehicle. I sat from dark to dark. One vehicle went down that road the whole time I was there. That does not happen where I'm from.
Well, I guess that makes a difference.
Yeah.
So is there, when you're saying, are those, because vehicles going down the road, are those hunters, you think?
Oh, I don't know. I just meant if that were a road at my place, I'd have seen 500 cars going up and down that road.
No
Just-
kidding.
Yeah, it was just there's no people out here, which you drive around and you just see these big, huge open fields. Some of the places we go, I don't pass a house
Yeah.
for miles,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and back home, I'll pass.
I think if you told the locals around here that, they'd be like, we don't believe that.
Yeah, because I'm a local from around here.
Yeah,
I guess that's the definition of a local. And I don't believe that. I mean, we feel like, if anything,
We're crowded.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I feel like I'm crowded, but I feel like
There's
people,
plenty. Yes.
plenty of people everywhere. Not just hunters, just people everywhere.
Yeah.
The other day there were rock hunters, people hunting artifacts, and I was like, what are they doing?
For real?
Yeah, they were going up and down the edge of the field when I was hunting.
That's a new one. We haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
Come on,
People hunting
the deer.
hunting arrowheads.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah.
first you think, well, there's people coming back here hunting, and then the next thing you know, they're walking zigzags back and forth. I was like, well, they're rock hunting. But at the same time, they're potentially messing up
Right.
that
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah.
Possibly.
The deer that were coming to that field are not
That's peanuts of messing up your area of Pennsylvania.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
Well, I guess is Pennsylvania just not even in the realm of hunting? I guess is it more populated of a state? I guess it would be,
Yes.
because the further east you go, the states
Yeah.
get higher densely populated.
Yes. So we have the second most hunters. I think Texas has the most. We're in the top 3 for number of hunters,
I knew that per square mile.
and we already have a bunch of people. So 10 to 13 million in Pennsylvania.
It is a swing state.
Yeah.
That's what they tell us.
Well, yeah. Well, that
Lots of
was-
saddle hunters.
the statistics were you had roughly 1 million hunters in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michigan was similar. In Texas,
Nobody
nobody
down to like
compete with Texas.
800,000. But
Hmm.
it's
Numbers are way down.
But I don't worry about the hunters. It's just people.
Yeah.
People everywhere.
So you've hunted a lot of stuff over the years, haven't you?
I don't know that I've hunted a lot of stuff. I've hunted a lot of places.
Okay.
A few different things.
What-
You've done some stuff. Now, come on. Muskox, caribou.
Yeah,
Come on.
some stuff.
I think you're being modest, man. I would like to hear about those things at some point, but
Yeah.
because there's a lot of hunts that me and Lathan aspire to
Gotcha.
make happen. But,
Yeah.
And
Aspire.
aspire.
That's a good
slowly but surely,
Yeah.
kind of happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I dreamed and dreamed and dreamed of elk hunting, and we started elk hunting, and what, 40 years we killed.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Nice.
you
I've never shot an elk.
Yeah.
Well,
I've never shot.
I mean, I've never shot a muskox. I've never even seen a muskox.
Hey, how big are muskox?
So they look a lot bigger than they actually are. It's all fur. But
Yeah.
they're like around 400 pounds.
Yeah.
They don't stand real tall. Maybe
Boy,
4 feet at the back. But
Man,
they're
that
just
is
all
really
hair.
surprising.
I would have,
Yeah,
I would have
all
guessed them
hair.
way over.
Like a bison or
Yeah, I would have
something.
guessed them like an 8.
They look like that. but
Yeah.
They're just not. It's just all
I can say with certainty if we ever go muskox hunting, Lathan will be riding one of them or something. So,
I don't know why that was my bucket list.
yeah.
That I was like, I don't know why. And the guy, when I was setting it up, you can hunt them in the fall or in the spring.
Yeah.
In the fall, of course, there's no snow. And the guy said to me, he's like, muskox is a winter animal. He's like, you got to do it in the winter.
Huh.
So I said, okay, I'll do that.
How bad was it?
It was minus 30 degrees. So it was pretty cold.
So you hike out on the ice? Is that what you do?
So you go out in snowmobiles until you find the muskox, and then they're not afraid of anything really. So once you find the herd, then you just take off on foot after them. Kind of the best case scenario is they get into some rocks. They'll just keep moving away from you. But when they get into a big bunch of rocks, then they'll stop, and that's what happened. We got one in there. Just once that happened, basically I just walked up to it and shot it.
Yeah.
They weren't terribly. The guy told me beforehand, it was funny, he said, you start walking in on them, he said, now he's gonna charge you, and they're individuals. You never know how close they'll let you get.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
He said, but he'll take his head and start rubbing his leg. He's like, when you see that, well, that's far enough.
Wow.
So I did that, and it was about 30 yards. So I was like, okay, I'll shoot from here.
So your equipment had to be geared to that super cold weather. What did you do?
Yeah.
Even your bow and everything. I mean,
Yeah, the coat, the stuff that I got was from the Iditarod. That's because they're used to that cold, and the coat is actually made of foam. The interior layer is foam. I could stand it up on this table and it would just stand there.
No kidding.
Yeah. But I, played with it at home and discovered I couldn't shoot a bow in that. It's too, it doesn't give. It was too bulky. So once it was determined, okay, we're going to go stalk, I had to take that off and put a different jacket on.
Huh.
And it's one that they use Saskatchewan. It's called Ravenwear.
oh yeah.
Wow.
It's a big, it's like fleece, and it's white. So they want you to wear white. So I switched to that. It kept me warm enough, and then moved in. But it was still, anything skin. If your skin was exposed for more than 5 minutes, you're going to get frostbite. So,
Wow.
had to keep everything covered. Thin gloves for when it was time to shoot. And,
Sure.
So is that the
carbon
trip
bow.
where they put you in a box towed behind the
Snowmobile. Yeah.
Audio's coming through on this.
Yeah,
That's
you just
a
get
little
towed.
So you were like in a coffin behind the snowmobile.
Yes, basically.
Nice.
Yeah, if something wouldn't happen, I was all ready to go.
So your scenic view was pretty limited at that point.
No, you can see. You sit upright. You just have a block in front of you to block the wind, but you can see all around. Stuff like that. So, yeah, it was anything. I had the rangefinder in an outer pocket.
Yeah.
It was dead. The batteries were dead. They die instantly. When we were taking photos, I could take photos for about 5 minutes, and then I had to take the batteries out, put them in my pocket, let them warm back up, put them back in, take pictures, because the cold would just kill the batteries.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, it was an experience.
Interesting. So, do you shoot all the way through a muskox?
I did. Yep, it went all clean pass through.
You would think, man, that much hair would be hard to put in there at all.
Yeah, I was shooting a big fixed blade broadhead, just sliced right through.
Did you shoot it heavy or light?
It would have been medium.
Yeah.
It would have been 450 grains.
Yeah. I think that's a
Nothing
good place to
crazy.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Do you have a take on that whole discussion?
So my thing is when people talk about the heavy arrows, is they don't all they think about is the weight. They want that heavy FOC.
Yeah.
They don't talk about what that does to your accuracy.
Yeah.
If you're shooting 20 yards and in, sure, okay.
But
what
your
if
pin
you have
gap
to-
goes away.
Yeah, what
It
if-
just broadens like crazy.
What if you have to shoot 50 yards? Not only now are you going to have a lot of arrow drop, but what's that arrow going to do? You
Yeah.
have so much weight up front, and guys are putting that on 300 spine arrows.
Sure.
Well, now you just made it a noodle with all that weight up front. And so they don't factor that in.
I think a lot of guys don't consider their arrow spine like they should.
No.
I mean, we have guys all the time that come in, they're shooting 70 pounds and they're shooting a 400, spine arrow.
Yeah.
And they don't even, they bought it from Walmart, and nobody at Walmart's telling them what they need to do. But that's the advantage of a pro shop, somebody to, walk them through that process. So
I had a guy ask me one time, he said, PJ, how can I get 600 grains up front of my arrow? And I said, you want a 600 grain arrow? No, I want 600 grains in the front. I was like, I guess you could pour lead in the arrow. That's a lot of weight.
Dude, that is hardcore as it comes right there. So.
You'd have to shoot you'd have to take maybe like a 250 and slide a 300 or something in it and epoxy it in or something.
And we're talking about whitetails, right? A guy that's just
Yeah.
going to shoot a deer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I am not totally against like a moderately heavy arrow. But I think I kind of fall in that line. I want to keep my bow around 280.
Yeah.
I don't want to get so. I guess was it T-Bone or who was it that said I'm going to pick whatever arrow with my bow and get as heavy as I can get and still shoot like 280 feet a second. That's kind of within probably something like, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. Just so happens I can shoot a 530, and I got about 286 out of it.
That's a lot of power.
And I like that. I like power. I like a Plan B type arrow. I was telling a guy today for when you make that. Because really the only big deer I've ever lost is shoulder shot deer.
Yeah.
Right. When you don't get that punched on through there. So everybody knows you can hit somebody with a baseball and hit somebody with a ping pong ball, and they feel the difference in that. So there's some validity, I think, to it. But I can't. I'm like you. I cannot sacrifice that lob out at 40 and 50 yards. I don't want that.
So that being the case, what are you shooting this week, PJ?
Arrow setup?
Arrow and bow.
Okay. I have Easton 4mm Axis long range.
Yeah.
With Thorn Rift broadhead on there. I love those things. They leave a nasty hole.
Is that the red ones or the black ones?
The black ones.
Okay.
Well, they turn red.
Yeah.
They all, in theory, should. But,
and I have both the new Matthews Lift X.
Yeah.
And PSE Carbon Mach 33.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why aren't you shooting the RS?
What's
You have to be a little bit shorter.
What's the? So you're hunting with potentially both of them right now?
Yeah. One day, I was taking the PSE out up until Matthews launch day, and then I took the Matthews out.
Yeah.
Well, that really wrecks some people's mind right there.
It really does.
It does. There's guys that's like, and that's never bothered me.
Mm-mm.
I've always been like, I remember years ago, I traded a Bowtech Air Raid, which was a stinker in my book. A stinker. We got them, and I was like,
I liked mine, man.
I hate to say, I did not like that bow. And anyhow, a guy wanted it, and he had an Admiral. And he's like, "You want to trade?" It was like November 1st. I was like, "So we'll trade right now." And I remember all the guys that I hung around and worked with were like, "What are you doing? You realize it's November 1st?" I said, "Yeah." Like, oh, that'd mess with my head to switch bows. So thinking about a guy that's shooting like one day a PSA and the next day a Matthews, I can see where most of the people I know would be like that. That's got my head too jacked up.
Yeah.
Back home in PA, I've shot 2 deer. The first one I shot with the lift. I didn't have the Lift X. And the second one I shot with the PSE.
Yeah. So how much information do you want to divulge in what you like and what you don't like?
I have no problem saying what I like.
Okay.
And so here's my thing. When we do our bow videos, is I'm taking them out of the box. I don't know what to expect. So what I want to do is whatever the consumer's going to do. I want to build it, I want to tune it, and then I want to shoot it long and short range. And my thing is, if I can do all of those things successfully, how can you say something negative about it?
Right.
I'm able to tune it.
Yeah.
I'm able to shoot it accurately, short range and long range. That's what we want.
I will say this though, there was a time when you shot Darton, I think it was the Spectrum maybe, and you were like, "Yeah, this is not my favorite bow. I don't, And I remember watching that, and I was like, he gets credibility with me because he was honest enough to say, I'm not crazy about this bow, and
So the next year,
and
Randy Kitts said, "Hey, remember that bow you didn't like last year?" And he had fixed it.
Yeah.
That was right when he bought Darton, so he had no effect on the previous one.
Sure.
But then the year later, they changed some things around, and it was fine.
Yeah. And see, I love that. I love the fact that someone is honest enough to say, this is what I think about it, take it or leave it, because I think the archery industry is lacking that as a whole because so many people are bought and paid for it. And I know that sounds terrible, but it's the truth of the matter.
Well, if you're sponsored by somebody, you can't be like, oh, piece of trash.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
And just so folks know, I'm not sponsored by it. I'm sponsored by Lancaster Archery.
Yeah.
Right.
But we did a video this year with the 3 Bear budget bows. I forget what the names were, but it was like $450, $650, and then I think the other one was $750.
Yeah.
And so again, I wanted to see, can you tune these things and then shoot them accurately? And I was able to do it with all of them, but in that video, I said, hey, that $450 one, that took me a while to get that to tune.
Sure.
I had to do some strange stuff, that a lot of people didn't do. The Black Eagle system where you put the little spacers in the strings.
Yeah.
Had to use that to get the timing right. Had to change arrows, but I got it to tune.
Yeah.
And then was able to shoot them. So, it's
there's
to prove that's $450 bow, you can still be successful with it.
Right. Yeah. There's some bears that I've been like, this is a bear to tune.
Yeah.
Like,
I've ran into some tough tunes. I've ran into some tunes on some bears that and at the end of the day, if they tune, I guess they tune. But
it was the timing. I put a half twist in one, and the other can would go out. Half twist, the other would go out. I couldn't get in between there, but with the Black Eagle system, I was able to do it. Or Conquest in time.
But let me ask you this: being at Lancaster, have you had anything come in your shop where you were like, that right there, I'm amazed by?
Yes. This is our favorite one to tell folks about. This guy called in, and he's describing that he needs parts for a crossbow. That's the long and short of it. But what he needs to do with it, our guy was like, what are you talking about? He just couldn't, it wasn't making sense what he needed and what he wanted to do with it. And so the guy then sent him a video, and what it was is he had taken a crossbow, cut it in half, mounted it on his boat, and he would shoot jello shots with it out into this lake where they would always have all these parties.
Oh my word.
That's what he was using this crossbow for.
Okay, I didn't think it was going that way.
So that was, did you see that? That was the strangest one that we had to deal with.
What kind of draw weight does a guy run on?
Cuts the jello right in two.
And what spine is that jello shot?
I just hit that person with about a 250 feet per second.
It was a rate of 500 feet per second. Yes, that's some strange stuff.
We, in the last year, have had a mission come in that was shooting 93 pounds.
A mission bow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. And what they had done is they'd figure eighted the cables around,
how
the teardrops.
Yeah, it comes up and your cable where it teardrops up around comes up.
Yeah.
Down. They went up, round, and so they had the limbs pulled way down.
Whoa, wow.
cam's probably
For
out.
what purpose?
They didn't even realize.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I figured they
Like,
did
I
it
don't
on
know
purpose.
who had done it, but the kid came in and he's like, yeah, it's pulling 93 pounds. And I was like, yeah,
No,
let's
it's
see. Yeah. And Lathan's like,
Yes, it is.
yeah, I think it might be.
Yeah.
The lens held up.
Oh, yeah,
I've been shooting it that way for several years.
yeah. 93
Testament to the
pounds.
bow. I'm sure the cam was out of orientation and probably not efficient, but
Yeah.
I mean, I grabbed hold of it and I was like, oh, reset.
Impressive.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, it's a 60 or 70 pound bows. And I think we were going to tune on it or something. And I hadn't even seen it yet. So I thought, well, I'll just send the first. It looked close to everything, plumb center. So I thought I'll just send the first one through paper, see where we're starting at here. And I pulled it about 4 inches. I was like, something's not right. And then come to find out, it's like 93 pounds.
Yeah, 93 pounds.
Man.
So,
So the dude that was shooting that bow.
oh, he was a hefty fella. I mean,
Okay.
built,
Thick
yeah,
boy, yeah,
yeah.
strong looking
Yeah.
kid, young
Strapping
kid.
lad.
Strapping young man.
He was
Yeah.
probably upset if you put it back, though.
We put it back.
Yeah,
We put it. Well, somebody said to put it back.
yeah. His
Their
dad was like, "That's a bomb. Please fix that."
Yeah,
So,
put it back
yeah.
like it should be.
Yeah.
So anyhow, but yeah, he'd been shooting it that way for quite some time.
Oh yeah, a couple of years at least. So,
It's pretty neat to see things come in here. You know, that you're like, oh. Some people may
You'll
not
see
realize
stuff.
because Lancaster's has a shop as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And it's,
I mean,
you
when
work in there, it's crazy.
yeah. So when you say someone called in about a crossbow, they're calling probably the shop side.
No, that was calling into our customer service for our website because we have techs who just answer phones all day.
Gotcha.
You can ask them, call them up and ask them any questions.
It's interesting.
Just answer
Yeah.
stuff. But
So next time I have a major issue, I can call Lancaster.
That's right.
And somebody can help me out.
PJ said to
Yeah.
call you.
oh man.
PJ said to ask you why this mission bow's pulling 93 pounds.
So I'm gonna let you guys do some small chit chat, and I'm gonna go grab some bows, and we're just gonna talk about what components and what things you like about these bows. So,
Sure.
Lathan, I'll let you take it for a few
Well, I
minutes.
just asked her, how'd you end up at Lancaster? That's small talk. Like, first of all, how long have you been there? And then what's the short road to getting there?
I think I'm there. What is this year? 24. I think this is at least 11, maybe 12 years.
That sounds right.
I think that's
So you've been with Doug longer than you've been with Lancaster.
that's right.
Almost twice as long.
Exactly.
Interesting. Interesting.
So I was a reporter / writer for 30 years. I think it was 30 years. I can't remember now. 25 or 30 years. And I still write for some of them, a lot of the hunting magazines and stuff. So, but I lived right near Lancaster Archery used to have a second shop that was down closer to my hometown. And so I started going in there 1990, I think, 90, 91, and got to know Rob Caulfield, the owner, and I've just known him ever since. And about 15 years ago, I saw him in the shop, and he goes, "Hey, I'm going to get my website up and working, and you're going to come work for me." And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do that. And then right about the time newspapers were starting to take a dive, daily newspapers, he called me up, and he said, "Hey, my website's ready to go. I want you to come work for me." I said, "Oh, all right, let's do it." And so I came in, and he had just gotten his website to its professional level. This is one of our first iterations. And he said, he's like, "All right, I want to tell people about archery. Well, I don't know how we're going to do it. You figure it out." And he wanted to do videos and stuff. And we set up a video studio. He's like, "We ought to be able to tell people about archery products who can't get to a pro shop. You guys figure it out."
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool in that regard, in that he was just like, "This is the mission, you do it." And so me and a video producer kind of figured out what we wanted to do and how we wanted to do it. And then, of course, we decided to televise professional archery tournaments again. Rob was like, "We're going to do it. You guys figure it out." So that's how I got in there.
So when you say writing, you said you wrote for some hunting magazines.
Mhm.
Then you heard you say newspapers.
Yep.
So it wasn't all just outdoor writing?
No. So actually,
Part of the media here. We
Yeah.
got there.
so one of the things.
Legacy media that we hear so much about.
Oh, don't offend him like that, man.
So
Well, you got out of it before it turned into maybe what it turned into.
I did. And
Reporter.
one of the things that I
You
had
still
to do.
got your credentials?
I think I
I just
do.
keep going. I'm going to
Because I still write the outdoors column for the local newspaper.
Wow,
Do you still?
I still do.
that's amazing.
I thought that was long over.
No.
That's neat.
But one thing a lot of people don't know is my specialty over all that time, was murders.
No kidding.
And I sat down one time and I was like, I probably have investigated and written about 300 murders
Huh.
over that time. And I remember when Rob called me up, there had just been back-to-back murders. I was like, I'm getting tired of this. Because it was like assistant high school principal who shot his girlfriend and himself, another guy who killed his wife in a shed, and then typical drug dealer gone bad. You get tired of
I
Yeah,
would think so.
just
that's
constant.
a dead end career.
So
So to speak.
Rob comes in and talks to me every now and then, and he's like, "Hey, how's it going in here?" Rob, I didn't have to talk to any dead person's family. It's a good day.
Uh,
So
That's crazy, man.
yeah,
I just saw you in a whole new light recently.
yeah.
Dead people everywhere.
Oh,
Well,
there's
neat. So you morphed right out, but you at that time you wrote for magazines.
Yep.
So you
Bow
always.
hunter, Peterson's bow hunting, sports afield.
I probably read your stuff. And didn't realize
Hmm.
it. Was you back? Was you doing review type stuff back then, or just like stories?
Some
Because I didn't read the
review type stuff.
stories, but I always looked at the products and Peterson's.
And the pictures, of course.
yeah, the
Oh,
pictures.
yeah.
I mean,
Pictures worth 1,000 words.
pictures without saying, but I wasn't big on the articles. But like I'd always look at because Peterson's was always good to show you the new stuff.
Yeah.
You know, now we've got PJ Reilly on Lancaster
Now you
showing
got
us the
YouTube.
new stuff and YouTube and stuff like that. But back then, you had to go to
Sure.
Walmart, get a Peterson's, or if you had a
That's right.
subscription, and then you flipped it, and you're like, no kidding, they've got a site now that's got 4 pins or 5 pins.
That's right.
You know,
O- only
stuff
rich people had the subscriptions.
Yeah.
So,
like- I
PJ,
begged my mom for the next copy.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought I remembered hearing in the early days at Lancaster Archery, you worked in the shop some.
Oh yeah. So Rob was like, "Yeah, before we do this, you need to get some shop experience to see what this is all about." And I was like, yeah, I put in there. I've been bow hunting for 20 years. I knew zero. I knew nothing. When I went into that shop, I was like, "Man, I don't know anything." I thought I did, but I didn't.
Yeah.
And so just learned from the techs in there.
I would say the vast majority of the guys that come in really don't know what makes, their weapon do what they want it to do.
Right.
And that in no way is, disparaging or talking down to them, but I think that's the importance of a pro shop,
So,
Yeah.
let the guys that have been there and done that figure it out for you and even maybe walk you through it. So,
Right. I mean, that's a dangerous thing, or you can do a lot of dangerous things to that
sure.
if you don't do it properly. With the
So what
focus
did that
and
time teach you?
I mean, that's where I learned the nuts and bolts
Yeah.
of all of it. Pressing, what you're doing, tying in stuff, all the basics
Yeah.
of setup and just how to do things correctly
Yeah.
versus improperly. So I had more than one of pressing some of those early past parallel bows, squirt out the bottom,
Yes.
wreck the cams.
Yeah.
I've done
Yeah.
that was you, huh?
that.
I feel for you because I've done that.
It puts a nice ding in those cams.
Yeah.
You can. It's quite a deal sometimes. Some of the predicaments you can get yourself into.
Yeah.
Pressing a bow, you're you're doing something to a device that doesn't want that done to it.
Right.
So we've had a few incidences.
Sure.
The biggest incident I've ever had is the time I cocked a crossbow with a rope cocker.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. I'm sure it was my fault. I used the wrong one or something, and it hung up in there. But it wasn't cocked. It was one of them ones that had
Got to the dry
device.
fire
protector,
but
but I don't
not
even
the-
know if it was for sure. The string wasn't on the dry fire, anti-dry fire. Just the rope cocker plastic thing was hooked on.
Oh.
And I was like, how you do? And Wes wasn't here,
What
and
did
I
you
needed
do?
someone that knew what they were doing. And Wes you went somewhere, you wasn't here, had to go uptown or something. I think you were just uptown because you came back, and I was like, yeah, woo, predicament we were in. But so I'm standing there holding it, like, what am I going to do? I eased off, and they went slack, but I seen it just hanging by that plastic device that rides up the rail. I was like, if that breaks, it'll drive, so I can't let off. And I've got 3 guys that mean well, but they don't know well.
Yeah.
And everyone's sticking I said, no, you can't stick your fingers in there.
Not if you want them.
Yeah. So finally, I just pulled as hard as I could, crisscrossed them, and tied them around the stock. But I'm still in this situation, like, if that plastic piece breaks, this is a
Watch
dry
out.
fire. So I turned it, got it over there, got it in the press, and got it in a safe position. But that's my biggest predicament.
That's a good one.
I was like, I had guys meanwhile, like, I think you need it if you'll pull. Yeah, it's like everybody just get out of the shop and leave me alone for just a minute so I don't kill somebody.
All right. So let's go ahead and transition. We're going to start talking about the lift, the Lift X. So I brought the RS and I brought a 29. And yep, 29 and a half. And the RS is a 27 3/4. So have you shot both of these?
Not the RS.
Okay.
I've not shot that one. And that would not go to my drawing.
Yes.
But no, I had not played with that one.
So are you shooting the 33 then?
Nope, 29.5.
What made you choose it over the 33?
So for years, I always took the longest one. And then a friend of mine, Justin Czar, and I would put 15-inch front rod and 10-inch side rod and all this weight on there. And he was like, PJ, why are you doing all that? And I was like, I got to get it to shoot good. He said, take all that off. Try the short bow, put no weight on it, see what it does. So last year I was like, well, okay, I'll try it.
Yeah.
He's right. I haven't played with that. And so last year's lift, I shot the 29.5, just a 10-inch bridge lock stabilizer out front. I think I only had 4 ounces, and I was able to shoot it just as good as anything else.
Yeah.
And it's lighter. It's not. I always carried into the woods by the stabilizer, so now my cam's not hitting my foot as I'm walking because it's shorter. And so I was just like, yeah, you know what? I think I like this.
Yeah.
Shorter bow.
Lathan calls it the naked bow.
Yeah.
He likes to have a naked bow.
Well, I do the same thing. I start putting stuff on them,
Yeah.
and then I get out there and I'm like this thing's in the honeysuckle, it's hooked, and I'm shooting a 35-inch Darton right now.
Oh, okay.
The
The new one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to run it naked, and I want to keep it as light as I can. So I'm talking quiver and sights. That's all I got on it. And of course, I got to rest and stuff. But shoot's amazing. I think I would like the shorter one, but at the same time, that longer one, it seemed like with nothing on it when you just put it out there. But like today, I was telling that story on crawling across the cornfield. I was like, there was once or twice I was like, this bow, I finally just laid it to my side, hooked my finger in the cams,
Just dragged it.
and
And
dragged
drag
it beside
Yeah.
me. That's why I brought it in and shot it to make sure it stayed. I was like, I do have a motto: get tough or die. If you're going to go with me, you got to hang in there. And I don't want to just abuse my stuff,
But it's timely because we're seeing a resurgence of those short bows.
Sure.
PSE and the Mach 30, Artis, from Elite. That was their shortest bow in years. The new Hoyt at 29.5, I think it was. That's only the second time they've had a flagship sub 30-inch bow. Just seeing that come back. Whereas they were getting longer for a while.
Yeah.
Now they're going back shorter.
And I talked to my rep at Matthews today, because whenever we set up our pre-order, like the RS wasn't even mentioned.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Like he told me there was going to be a short draw version.
Yeah.
But I assumed it was, in my head, for some reason, I assumed it was on the 29.5 platform.
Yep. Gotcha.
And so, and he never even said anything about ordering it or anything. So I was like, whatever, no big deal. Just give me, so many 29s, so many 33s. And then when the preview package came in, I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't realize we don't know anything until the day of, basically. So there's guys coming in wanting to talk, bows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I know basically what you know. Like, and to me, there's elements of that that's a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like when it does come in, you're like, ooh, it's like Christmas,
Right.
Kind of neat to see something like that.
Sure.
We have to, I knew about stuff ahead of time, but I basically had to sign a thing saying Matthews owns me if I leak any of this stuff. But yeah, they're pretty tight with their information.
Yeah. And I totally understand that. But I can tell you, based on what I'm seeing and based on what my rep had said, that already the RS is the one that's getting all the attention.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
A bunch of people want that shorty.
It's
got a smaller brace height on it.
So they said they had never had a short draw bow that was on the flagship platform. It was always a completely separate bow with separate technology and all that. And so they wanted to cover everybody with the lift basics.
Yeah, I saw on their marketing, it's one for all.
Right.
They're trying to basically cover all those with the Lift X.
Yes, exactly.
So right now with the 29.5, how do you feel like, it's doing for you?
It's the same as the Lift, which I like. It's fast. It's ridiculously quiet.
Do you think the fact that what you just said will hurt sales?
That it's the same.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
I don't know that it will. So here's what we see. So everybody says they shouldn't come out with bows every year. There were a whole bunch of people who bought the Lift last year.
Sure.
There were a whole bunch of people who didn't.
Yeah.
Lift X.
Yeah.
They'll come in. I'm sure this one will do equally as well.
Yeah. And when I talked to my rep, he made very clear, he's like, we are already in November further along than what we were on sales than we were last year with the Lift.
Yeah.
And interesting how this is geared, the whole archery, new bow. I mean, there's the old timers shot the same bow for 15.
Right.
Yeah.
I did.
Well, and you still can.
Still can, but most people don't.
They got the
and we don't
fear of
want them
missing
to.
out.
No,
There are those.
I'm all for it. I'll switch 2 or 3 a year if I could.
There are those people who gotta have the newest every year.
Yeah.
But there are some there are ones who cycle through. All the ones who bought last year, there's a whole bunch of people who are coming in this year who are ready to upgrade. And so,
Yeah. It seems like you got what we see as the every year guys.
Yeah.
They're coming in every year.
No matter
train.
what. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got about the every 2 to 3 year guys.
Yeah.
It seems like. But other than that, it's like the whole other end. You got guys coming in the switchback.
Right.
Sure.
XDs,
That's
they've
right.
been shooting the same thing. And they come in and like, I'm thinking about getting a new bow. And they're like, they got a 20-year-old bow. I'm like, yeah,
Might be time.
Yeah.
good time to get a new
Do you
one.
think it's time to change the strings on this?
No, I'd rock it another season.
So I noticed on these lift X's, the grip has now been changed.
Right.
So do you like the grip and what is different about it?
So they offered 4 different versions. You can get the side plates, you can get the Engage, which they had, although they upgraded it. The shelf is a little bit higher,
Yeah.
and they have the rubber inlay just for a little more texture for the Engage. And then they have the Contour and the Taper. And they're just different. It does different things to your hand. The Contour is a little fatter at the top. The Taper gives you a little higher wrist.
What was your choice amongst them?
So I went with the Taper.
Yeah.
It
Is
was.
that the one that's a little more squared?
It's more squared,
That's the one I
and
like,
it has a higher wrist. It's
Yeah.
got more heel.
Yeah.
Just playing with them. That's the one I think I picked as well.
The Engage I would take off every year. Just that rounded back would kill me with left and right.
Yep.
Yeah. But I do think the Engage is better this year than it
It
has
is.
been in the past.
Yeah, for sure.
And I also like that they've cut out the thumb spot there.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was an issue for a lot of guys last year, and I think that's a great, addition to what they did machining wise. So
Yeah, they did cut that out.
And-
they got that big knuckle right there,
Yeah. the old fat knuckle.
Best of all, you don't have to heat them with a hairdryer again. Pop them off.
Yeah.
But then you don't have to peel the glue off.
Yeah.
Yeah, modular.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So the shot sense is still a thing.
Yep.
How much have you seen, at Lancaster? Is that a popular thing, or are people just skipping over it?
I don't think it's super popular. I think it's more guys who are into tech
Yeah.
like that. I know a lot of target archers shoot it. I played around with it for a while too, and it just showed me how bad I was. So I said, I don't need this thing telling me that. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's popular. I would say if you're into that, you're into that. Just like the Mantis, there are a bunch of aftermarket things that do basically the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a loaded question, but between this and your 33 PSE, do you have a preference?
So, and with my lift, I'll say the lift because I've had that longer. Lift X, I'm thinking is going to be exactly the same.
Yeah.
That's my impression of it. But it's funny. I keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
I'll shoot one for a while. I'm like, oh man, I don't like this. And I'll just shoot the lift for a bunch. And then one day I'll pick up the PSE and I'll shoot that. I'm like, I kind of like this one. I'm going to shoot this one for a while.
Yeah.
I will say one thing I found hunting this year, that last year I shot everything with the lift. I shot, I think, three bucks with it. No, $2.
At least
And
two.
a doe. Anyway, I shot a couple deer with it, and I don't remember noticing this, but this year I shot my doe with the lift, and when I went to draw it, I was trying to draw it slowly, and I really felt that draw cycle.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
got
but
hung up
you've got a really long draw though. What is your draw length?
30 inches.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, it just surprised me as I was drawing it back. Then conversely, a couple weeks later, I had the PSE when I shot my buck, and the thing I noticed was that thing just came right back.
Sure.
Nice. That EC2 camp just rolled over nice. So,
A
it
lot
was
of
just
people don't
something I
realize
noticed.
that a longer draw bow gets more dumpy and dump.
Yes.
Many
Yeah.
cams, the deeper you draw,
The
the dumpier it gets. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fast. I shoot it accurately.
How did you feel about their tuning system? Do you like it?
So far, we took it and adjusted the rest off a little bit so that I'd have to use the tuning system,
Yeah.
and it was ridiculously easy.
How much do they say it gives you? Do you know that?
I don't know that they say how much it gives you.
Yeah.
I just had to fix a minimal tear,
Yeah.
and it was real easy. But I don't know that I've seen them say how much of a tear you can fix.
Yeah.
But the thing I want to see yet that I didn't get to play with is I want to see how you take the axle out to remove
Right.
the cam to replace the strings, just to see how that process works,
Sure.
since it is different.
Because one side, like we were talking out there, the side without the adjustment is somehow has to be attached or slaved to that
It
side.
is. That is correct.
Or or you couldn't do what you're doing on this side.
Yeah.
So I'm the same way. It's like, how's that thing come out of there?
Yeah, I want to know.
And we'll
So when I
figure
go
that
home,
out.
I'll do it.
As a consumer, I think it would have been awesome if they would have said, all right, the RDS limbs, they were, I know the patent reason, there's probably reasonings why they didn't, but I wish they would have said the arc is made like this. That's why it's better than the RDS limb.
Oh, yeah, they have their proprietary.
Sure.
That's where their proprietary things come in. They
Yeah.
have a new process, but they're
Yeah. Well, I just wish they would have said, because to the guy that's buying, he might be like, maybe they just printed a different label on it,
Right.
And there was so much issue with their theoretically,
there was so
Discussion.
much media
Yes.
discussion.
That's
Yeah.
and all that being said, we only had one,
Yeah.
all the time come into the shop.
And
So
it
I
wasn't
think
even
it-
one we sold.
No, and I think that was
Come from
massively blown out of the water.
It seemed like.
We
But-
saw very few.
Yeah,
You know,
but
we
because
saw-
of that, I feel like that might have helped them even on this one, to say this is what we did to change that.
They're made differently.
Yeah.
So actually, the lifts that were produced later in the year after they fixed it up, they were made with this new process.
Oh, okay.
So it predates this boat.
That's interesting.
What are they? You're saying they're calling that something,
Well, they're calling this the Arc 7 limb.
Set.
Yeah. And those were the RDS limbs.
and we have no idea what.
What that
that's
means.
what you're
Yeah,
asking.
that's what I'm
that
saying.
means.
Yeah.
It's just a
So-
name on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. Now.
But
I wasn't following you for a second. I'm
Yeah.
with you now.
that's just
They
me.
say it won't do what happened. to
Right.
some
Sure.
boats.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure it won't. I mean, they're good about all their stuff. So
Yeah, that's the thing to remember is that for all those folks who had that issue, Matthews took care of it.
Right.
It
Absolutely.
wasn't like an issue. It was just, okay, send it back.
yeah,
We need a new one.
and they took care of it extremely well because I don't think people realize that for a bow that has a lifetime warranty, no matter who touches it or owns it, that's amazing.
Oh, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And I don't think they've ever done that with any other bow.
No, I don't know that anybody. I've never heard that being done.
A transferable warranty.
Transferable
Yeah.
warranty.
Yeah, I would think your resale on that bow would be phenomenal for
It
years
should
to
be.
come.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So I'm going to pull up the PSE 33 this time, the Mach 33.
Yep.
And that's the one that you're shooting as well, correct?
Yep, that is
So-
correct.
Yeah. I'm going to grab it real quick.
Do you like the overall? No, that's what you're telling us. The cycle, draw cycle.
It's really smooth.
You're pulling that back
That-
in a
How do
tighter,
you-
slower.
Right. How do you compare that with the Mach 30?
So it's the same cam. However, what I noticed is that on the Mach 30, there is a little bit of a hump right at the back end that I didn't notice until I shot this one.
Right. As a comparison.
I thought when it was just the 30, I thought, oh, this draws really nice. And it does, but just this one draws a little bit nicer that I didn't know until this one existed.
Right, right.
I
So-
thought the 30.
If Jarrett Lewis is listening, there are other bows out there besides the 30. So,
Yeah.
He doesn't Mach 30.
And so what's amazing is, okay, this one is 33 inches axle to axle. The other one is 30 inches. They weigh exactly the same. I weighed them.
So how are they achieving that?
I called Lonnie Workman and I said, these bows weigh the same, 3.6 pounds. How is that possible?
Right.
And he was like, well, I don't know. But he probably knew.
That's not the answer you were looking for.
The,
But he was like, yeah, just the way they did the carbon.
I think the quiver, that quiver that they got that goes on this is cool. I don't know why. I think that's cool.
I actually haven't seen one. I've never seen one.
Am I
I've seen
right?
pictures
There's a
of it.
quiver that.
There is.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've
there's-
seen
Yeah,
pictures of it.
we sold one.
I have
Yeah.
And I was looking it over and I was like, man, that's kind of neat. That's kind of cool how they,
Yeah.
you know, it's like bang, that's right in front of us all that time waiting somebody,
Yeah, right.
you know, put one there. And maybe somebody did. That's just the first one I've seen.
But this one at 70 pounds, I was shooting it and I was like, I think I can shoot a 300 with this in a hunting setup. Like nothing target about it.
Yeah.
Hunting arrows, 70 pounds, hunting sight, my index finger release. And I was shooting it, and for our video on camera, I can part. I shot it 289. But I was shooting 295s and 296s, you know, it was right there, getting close. But then when we did the video,
So it just points really well for you.
it just it points well. The arrows go where the pin is, breaks nice, just everything about it. And, you know, 70 pounds, it holds nice. This is one where I would say 70 pounds feels like 60.
You hear that a lot, but you think this one really is kind of that.
This one I think is like that.
Do they make this one in with 80-pound limbs?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, they do, because it changes the axle to axle a little bit. So I believe the limbs are longer. If I remember.
So on this bow, I know that MFJJ really liked this bow. He bragged on it a bunch. And he bragged on, and I think I heard you guys talking about it, the weight being, you know, super light.
Yeah.
So for a carbon bow, I think this one stands out for sure. So
I believe this is the lightest.
yeah.
Carbon bow.
If you, I'm sure someone in the world wonders from a guy that's shooting this exact bow and the, what'd you say, the 29 and a half,
Mm-hmm.
when you launch the same arrows, who outruns who speed wise?
I don't know if and I was trying to remember today what our speed test was. We do the spec speed test, 30-inch draw, 70 pounds, 350 grain arrow. I don't remember. I think they were both at like 337, if I remember. I may be not remembering that correctly, but I don't notice a difference.
Yeah.
I don't know that my pin gap is any different.
Yeah.
I shoot a multi-pin, 5-pin sights.
What sight do you shoot?
True ball, True ball, Excel landslide.
Yeah. Do you shoot that on both of your?
Actually, I think right now, because I had to take the Excel off for a video to put on another bow, I have the pick mount. I have the HHA on there now.
Yeah.
The Catcher Max.
It's a good sight too.
Yeah.
Both are nice sights. My qualm on this bow is the color scheme.
Well, this
On
particular one.
yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying earlier? Horrendous.
Hideous. I think.
Hideous.
Yeah, I mean, it's like two really unique colors that
We were saying it would probably be cool if they did either one for the whole thing.
for the whole thing.
This
Yes.
limbs or that riser.
It's whatever this color is on the limb. And I my mind was like, maybe they're supposed to be the same.
Right. They took differently.
I didn't notice they were different. I have a Mach 35 that we just got back home waiting for me. And I didn't notice it when I took it out of the box and somebody said, "Is that the limb green?" And
It does look it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it is a different color.
It's like they let colorblind Larry put it together or something, you
That's pretty
know?
offensive to colorblind. It is a strange combination.
Yeah.
If they was, like you said, one, I think this would look really cool with a black riser
So,
or
Yes.
something to that
so
nature.
mine is black limbs, black riser, and the bronze cams.
I like the
I think
bronze.
it's cool.
Yeah, the bronze is
I like
slick.
it.
Because all this is bronze too, the
Yep.
pockets and
It
stuff.
looks. I thought it looked cool.
Is
That-
this stuff bronze as well, or is it black?
I think it's black. I think the cable guard is black. I know all this stuff is.
Because we've
Just
got
a
a
cam.
like a cryptic one.
Yeah. Yeah, with the bronze.
And we sold a black 30
Yes.
with bronze.
With bronze.
With bronze.
They look sharp.
They
man.
do. You can see
Yeah.
them coming.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, look at him.
So I was part of the team from Outdoor Life that picked the Mach 30 DS as our bow of the year last year.
Yeah.
Also, my son-in-law, Jarrett Lewis, which is who he's talking about. Yeah, you talked him into it.
Oh yeah.
He didn't realize
He was
you
hooked.
did. Maybe but he's got. No, I think he gets along with the Mach. He's got the Mach 30 and loves it. So.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I heard, "Hey, it's a bow of the year."
Yeah.
Bow of the year.
Outdoor Life,
Yeah.
bow of the year.
And so people, well, okay, the Mach 33, it shoots better. Is it going to be the bow of the year? But I made sure that I mentioned somewhere, it was in my Outdoor Life article on this bow. It's like, so one of the factors that also goes into it is, did you do anything new?
Yeah.
So while this one may shoot the best, nothing
There's not a lot of
changed
innovation.
except it was 3 inches long. It's a great bow that, no, that doesn't, take it down a notch or anything. But when we do the test, that's a factor as well.
Sure.
As to, and we have the Matthews, the limb shift. You got the Dartons with the new
Yeah.
tuning technology on it. Hoyt with the new cam system. There's a lot of new stuff that happened. But hey, this still, who knows?
Yeah.
Have you gotten eyes on the new Bowtex yet?
Yes.
Yeah. That's all I'll ask you. So we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But,
The,
we're excited to get those in next
yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So PSE is going to have to come up with some sort of tuning.
Yeah, I mean,
Where does Hoyt have a? I realize I got the clip
Yep.
popped up. And those are nice. That is
Yes.
handy to work with. But now you've got Matthews,
Right.
Darton, and Bowtech, which has had for quite a few years.
you don't have to remove any parts. You can just
with
make
with a
adjustments.
system that you can just work with. When I saw Darton's twisty yoke thing, I was like, man,
Oh
it's
yeah.
almost frustrating that how simple that is.
Yeah.
And maybe they've been sitting on that for years. I don't know. It's like, how did we just not think of that ourselves?
Yeah.
You know, went to the
Well,
hardware store.
speaking of that, let me grab one of them real quick.
You know, it was like it's right in front of us.
Yeah. Why hasn't someone done this?
Why haven't we done this along? Even the Darton with the here, I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty stupid easy.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a proprietor for something stupid easy means it probably will act stupid.
Yeah.
In the mountains or something like that.
Right. Keep it
Do you want to leave the PSE there or pull it down?
Just leave it there.
Yep. So it's got the
So this is what I'm shooting. Yeah. Of course, I got the 35-inch version of this.
it's got the tuning.
Yeah.
I forget what they call it,
I forget.
but basically you take this thing and move it to one side or the other so that that's your tuning instead of doing anything that it can't. And it works. And I know on the Exodus, the target bow, I really had to use it to tune it, and it was simple.
Yeah, it worked on mine. I had to. I did have. I don't know if it's because it's a longer riser bow. You know, maybe a little more flex torque in the riser because that 35-inch. But I had to wind them.
That's what I had to do on
I
the
had to get
Exodus.
way down there, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden, whammo, there it was.
Yeah.
But what's interesting when you get it, you know, say I was tearing left, you know, 3/4 of an inch, you turn it and you watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can watch it as you tweak it. You watch it just walk over.
Hmm.
Not even just for giggles, walked it past.
Right.
Like hit
Just
a
to
bullet
see
hole,
it.
2 or 3 bullet holes, and it was like, you got just a little bit. Let's see what that does, and it did. It went to the right. So it's
So very effective.
for my mind. It's like that for sure is working.
It's working.
You know, because you could walk that tear, that left and right tear back and forth. And then the timing thing, like I said, just twisting that is so
Crazy.
stupid easy. I'm like, that is so stupid easy. And how come it's just, you know, everyone's sitting around probably wishing it's like, man, that was a good idea. You know, they are.
Yeah.
But because, well, what was you talking about with the bear where you were like, man, a half
Too
turn
much,
this
too
way?
Yeah.
I was doing
yeah.
that on mission. Those mission bows can be that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just barely turn a cable halfway, and it's like it walks all the way the other way. You're like, what in the world? You know?
Yeah. So this one you can do a quarter turn, eighth turn,
Yeah.
1/32, whatever you need.
Just-
Where you're
Well,
either
it's kind of
full or
like
half.
this. To
Yeah.
some degree, how you can just walk this in.
Yeah.
You can just walk that in. You know, the same. It's the same thing in a different place, really.
Yeah. It's definitely cool.
Pretty handy. And I like like I said today, I was like, man, a 35-inch bow was much for me when I was stalking
Yeah.
today. But just setting hunting, I run it just like this, except a quiver and sights. I don't have an
Right.
extra biscuit, obviously, but I just run it naked.
Naked.
Naked. I just run it naked. It shoots great. The
Yeah.
longer bow, so there's more down here. It seems like it makes the bow center up for me a little better, but I don't know. Shoots good, tune good. Fixed blade broadhead shooting awesome out of it. That's number one for me. But
I shot the 35 for our video at 100 yards at the wherever the biggest field NFA face was. So the dot's about like that.
right.
I took 8 shots. I was all around it, and found number 8 dead center, 100 yards. So yeah, it shoots.
It shoots good. Looks good. I haven't. Can you explain? Because I haven't really dove into the hunting / target mark on here. It's just a matter of the different orientation and timing type.
Yeah.
So for the target timing on this,
It's the same cam. The limbs are at a different angle, so it brings the cam into a different.
So it
position.
don't even apply to this bow.
Correct.
Gotcha.
It's
I hadn't
the same
picked
cam.
So I hadn't picked that up because in my mind I was like, if I time that to that on this bow, the orientation is
That
totally
makes
out
so
of
they've
whack.
used this cam for the Exodus. Then.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Gotcha.
this cam goes on a target bow where the limbs would be
It's a different
less
angle.
Yeah.
parallel.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Hmm.
I wish I would have figured that out on my own, so I wouldn't have had to ask that question. But I didn't.
So, but it's cool to see. We were talking about Randy Kitts since he got Darton. That they're relevant.
Yes, they
When
are.
I was shooting in the '90s, everybody owned at least one Darton.
Yeah.
That was it. But then they kind of just fell off the radar a little bit, and now Randy's bringing them back.
I think Randy
awesome.
is great with the marketing and business end of it, and that's what's really helped him.
Yeah.
So
I like them. I gravitate back to them.
and we like Randy.
I do. I like Randy.
Yeah.
I don't know him great. I know him good enough to say I know him and what I've been around him. I like him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, and we can kind of finish up this way. Do you feel like the ability for tunability is good for the average consumer?
I think I'll answer it this way. What we're seeing is more and more people are wanting to get into that.
Yeah.
I think there was a time where people didn't mess with it at all. Most people. But I can tell you by the number of bow presses that we sell that there are a lot of people getting into working on their own stuff. And so this now can reach, the Darton here. Would you, I guess, to put in a peep is the only thing you would need a press for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, for tuning,
And even at that, I'm really surprised that someone hasn't gravitated or grabbed a hold of APA's, pin system to where it's like you can draw it back a little bit, slide
Right.
the pin in.
But the slack in the string.
the
Yeah.
Matthews stay afield system,
Sure.
you can use that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been sticking.
Oh boy.
Better not go there.
Guys have been doing that for
I've been
kids, don't
sticking
try this
Allen
at home.
wrenches with black tape wrapped around them in the cam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since I was big enough to not even know better. But anyway, that's how I put my peeps in for years.
Sure.
Just put my foot on it, pull it back, stick a good smooth device in the cam.
Right.
Round, big as you can. Screwdriver.
It definitely
You don't want
still
to push. Yeah.
gets some people in trouble.
It does,
They do
man. It
things
does.
that-
I think there's elements of that it's better left to the guy that knows what he's doing. However, I want to encourage guys to be, go out there and do it.
I agree with that, but also, if you think about it, the easier it is for the tech in the shop to get that guy's bow ready for
Absolutely.
him. It is better for the customer.
That's what I told the guy. Because one guy, I don't remember who it was, I was talking to, he's like, well, it don't mean much to me because I ain't working on it. I said, well, there's truth to what you're saying, but then there's not. There's an element of, for one, if it has all this stuff, we can get it to tune to you better. For two, I don't have to spend 45 minutes in there trying to figure out, because time is money. And if we're charging by the minute to set up a bow for a guy, I was like, a bow like this,
it's going to save you money.
You know, and the Matthews is that way, even before that, and that's just going to make it that much easier to get in tune. But sometimes it's like, gosh, 5 shots, 6 shots, you're like, it's there.
Right.
Yeah.
Take it and shoot it. I tell most guys, I was like, run 100 or so through it and let's check it again just to make sure everything's there. You know, and sometimes guys come back in after 150 shots. You're like, yeah, let's tweak it just a little bit more now to probably settle in and stay there. But that means something to them from the spec. Well, they spent $15 to $20 on my time to get it set and tuned. Versus, man, I've wrestled some that I was like,
well, we had a guy
wrap this thing around a tree.
comment on one of the videos. I don't remember one where I got it, set it up, and shot a bullet hole out of the box. And the guy commented, "Oh, how convenient was that? You know, what happened off camera? Bullet hole." And I was like, that actually happens quite a bit. It probably happens more often than not. That if you just set your center shot right,
that's right.
get a bullet hole.
I get that a lot with the Matthews.
That's right.
I get that a lot with the Matthews, probably more maybe with the Matthews than any of them.
Well, I mean, a Matthews and a QAD are already set up to where they're designed to once it's on, it's about where it needs to be.
Yeah. Double check it, tighten it down. If your knock height is right and you're the center, man, there's plenty of times I've shot through paper and I was like, well, I'm going to shoot it again just to make sure.
Yeah.
But that's perfect right out. And then the next time, you know, you got 10 minutes or so.
Yeah. I really noticed it on the Phase 4, how easy that thing was coming to.
Fast.
It was just like, it seemed like every maybe 5th or 6th one, you might have to spend a little more time with it, but a lot of them just fell right into place right out of the box.
Yeah, I noticed that immediately. We set up Phase 4, center shot, knock height, bang, bullet hole. Here you go. Give me another one. Phase 4, center height, bullet hole. And then when the lifts come in, I did notice a little more. I don't want to make it sound like it was this is a nightmare, because it wasn't. I just got so accustomed to generally setting at the center, everything right, sending it, providing you get the right spine arrow, go through their bullet hole.
But that being said, what they've done this year corrects all that.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
So,
did a lot more, I guess you just put it this way, did a lot more top hat work.
Once you got used to the top hat, I liked it. It was fine.
Oh, I don't mind.
It did take some time, but it was fine.
But the axle pops out of them things so simple. And on the face for the top hat, sometimes we're on ready to push it out.
Right.
And then all of a sudden on the lift they fixed that. It was like you could reach in there. And
yeah. But I think overall, that being said, I feel like the archery industry is going to a good place. I do.
I think so.
Yeah. And are there any other accessories that have your attention this year?
So there's the new UV slider that everybody's talking about because it's $700.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But they've made some improvements to that. The Excel driver, I saw one on Brandon Reyes' bow before he came out. I want to play with that.
did you not just do a thing on the driver?
We did, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It looks cool.
It's the landslide, but slimmed down.
Yeah.
They took a bunch of screws and things out.
Yeah, I like the looks of it.
So I think that was going to be
They
nice.
put a bigger, maybe more ergonomical knob.
The
on
dial.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. True Ball has a new release. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
I don't know if I have seen that. That's all
Another
right.
time and another place.
We'll back that
Oh,
up.
yeah.
Something to look
Stay
forward to.
tuned
Yeah.
for that one. That one has not gone yet.
But you
It's
didn't.
gonna be cool.
You didn't say anything that wasn't
That's
needed
right.
to be said.
We hope everybody has something somewhat new. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else we have seen this year. The new dialed sight, the Proof.
What's your take on their sites? They look amazing.
And the Proof. They basically fixed just a few things that people were complaining about with the Arxos, and
Yeah.
I messed with it the other day, and it's really nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like in comparison to a UV, what's it like? Is it similar? Is it?
Yeah, and they moved the lock now to where it works very similar to the UV. It's basically right where your index finger would be. To flip it over, turn the wheel up and down, and then you can hit it right back.
Okay.
It's not in the exact same place, but the functionality is the same. And then it just looks cool. That's what we find. People just like the way it looks. We had one of
It's
the.
amazing what sells things.
Yeah.
We had one of the
Seems like
Phillies.
UV sell on looks a lot.
Yeah.
One of the Phillies pitchers came in. I forget which one. It's right before we were hoping they were going to go to the World Series. One of the relievers, and he wanted that sight. That's what he wanted. And we're like, "Do you want to look at anything?" Nope. I want the dot. This would have been the Arxos.
Yeah.
The Proof wasn't out yet. What was it? I can't remember. It was a dialed sight, and he was like, "That thing just looks cool."
Well, you get we've sold most of the UV sliders by opening the box. You open the box in front of the guy.
It's like,
Yeah.
It's almost like they put something in there that clouds people's judgment.
$600. Who
Yeah.
cares?
Because
No
you'll
problem.
tell us how much is it? UV? $600. And then you open the box and
I want that.
yeah. And it's like they haven't seen the
Seems
function
worth
of
it.
it. They haven't seen how it feels. They haven't put it on a bow
Yeah.
and looked at it. They're like,
Well, even the
Yeah.
packaging.
Yeah.
You start opening up this well-made box,
right.
and
That's
you
the
flip it
thing.
open. It's like it even feels like it's got to be the right thing.
Yeah.
What about the arrow, the UV arrow? What's your? I mean, are you like,
I
this
like it.
arrow's worth $200?
So I did my research on 1K carbon, and it is one of the more rare carbons. So that's where the cost is going to come from because you can't get it.
Yeah.
And it's
Explain the 1K because a lot of people hear 1K, and
So-
I've heard I think a person today talking about, yeah, I'm gonna get them 1K arrows, and they're talking about how that 1K is. I was like, I don't think that is how it is, but I just
it means there's 1,000 fibers per toe, what they call. If you think of it as a bundle
big
in
toe
the
and little
carbon, yeah. Versus what most of Victory's stuff, Victory's the company building it, is 3K. So it's used, the 1K is used in aerospace and automotive and stuff, and it's just super light but super strong.
just a finer, more refined carbon.
That doesn't make sense in my head because if another's 3K,
That should be more fun.
Right.
yeah, that should be 3,000 to that toe. I don't know.
It is.
So
3K is 3,000 fibers per bundle.
So these fibers are thicker then.
I don't think so because it's still the same diameter. Like the arrow didn't get any bigger.
Yeah.
But you're saying
just the
there's
way
less
it's
fibers.
made,
Fibers.
there's
Less fibers messes with my head. You would
Right.
think it would be the other way around. But
Yeah, but it's not.
give
There's
me
another
some of that
one,
1K action. That's what I'm saying.
and there's another one that's even more rare, but nobody makes anything out of that in terms of arrows.
Yeah.
I forget which one that one is. It was 4K or 2K. I can't.
Hey, Y2K.
But
Uranium arrows.
the scarcity of it.
Isotope.
Like Ultraview
Good
said they
name
had
for
to get their material like many months in advance to make sure they have enough of it. So as we all know, anything that's hard to come by, that's going to be more expensive.
Right. I mean, I'm not. I watched. I think your review on them. And then I read the comments, and boy, there was a bunch of hate mail on there.
For sure.
I got
You know,
tons
no
of hate
doubt.
mail. And my thought was, you know,
You don't
if
have to
it's
buy it.
stronger, if it's stronger or lighter, people threw a fit about the 4.5.
So, and so Colby Hanley, I talked to him about it, CEO of UltraView, and a couple things about the UV1 case. So they did testing that they didn't show that the recovery of this arrow was significantly faster than other types. In other words, they put a weight on it and then cut the weight and see how long it took to stabilize. And theirs stabilized way faster than a lot of other arrows. And
That's
I
pretty
mentioned
interesting.
to him that I saw when I was shooting, if I torque the bow periodically, that's my kryptonite, I do that. And I could see that the wiggle would just straighten out super fast. And whereas other ones, that wiggle would take a little while to flatten out there.
So it's taking the archer's paradox, what we call it, which is a wiggle and arrow, and shrinks that down. So
It just
potentially.
And they went with 4.5 millimeter because they didn't want to have a 4 millimeter and a 5 millimeter. They didn't want to have two different skews. They wanted to have one. So they're like, well, what if we put it in the middle? 4.5.
Do you think there will ever be a 3
millimeter? I don't know how
you have to do an out knock, not an insert knock. Because right now, a lot of the 4 mil knocks make me a little nervous.
The biters, that shaft is skinny.
There's some of those old Eastons though. Man, they were thinner than what fours are.
What were they?
Was it Apex or something like that?
No, AC's, what was the old Easton? Like a little bitty. Beeman had some too. But they were putting knocks that went on the outside and outserts back in on those too. But because some of the lighted knocks, like in the 4 mils, man, you can fold them things over, put them in.
Yeah.
On the UV1Ks and on my Easton 4 millimeters, what I notice is where it's kind of a pain is pulling out bag targets.
Yeah.
That outsert hangs up.
Yeah, that frustrates me.
Sometimes you got to work it a couple times before it'll come out.
Yeah.
That annoying.
Solely on that's like the number one reason I don't shoot them.
Yeah.
There's arguments that they shoot deeper. I don't know if that holds water in an animal.
I feel like it doesn't.
I know it doesn't foam, and I fully
right.
understand why it doesn't foam, because the shaft is smaller, but in an animal with a broadhead on the front, fluid, guts, blood. I don't know if it translates, but I just can't. I don't want to fight pulling out of the bag. I shoot a lot. I shoot a bag most of the time. It's like every time.
Oh, man.
And to get it out of there. I had a guy in here today that went back there and shot. I was like, you got a pair of pliers, my insert stuck in your bag out there, and it's glued on, but he's just out there, fighting to get it out, and finally he pulled an insert or something like that. So I shoot 5 mils right now. I'm shooting Black Eagles Rampage, and it's got that half outsert that's not over the shaft. Marries up slick and just barely tapers out.
Tapers nice.
Just pulls so wonderful. But I just don't like fighting. I don't like that.
Yeah,
it gets on my
I get it.
Same.
If all I was doing was shooting animals with them, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I would probably love them. I'm not knocking them. I'm not saying telling people there's something wrong with them. Just for me, I get tired of that last big double
It'll
click
crank.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And people's like, well, that ain't no big deal. Well, if you shoot 100 arrows a day,
No,
it gets to be.
It feels like you're tearing up the target too. Like it feels like you're wrecking the outside of the bag.
Yeah.
So I had every intention of breaking this into 2, but I feel like we've already went so long that we might as well. There's a couple other questions that I want to ask you.
Okay.
What is on your agenda in regards to hunts? And are there any that you want to do that you've not done yet?
So, as far as hunting for the immediate future, I'm going out for gun season tomorrow.
Yeah.
Here in Illinois. I'm hoping it goes better than my bow season.
The orange
Black cloud
army
over me.
will invade in the morning, won't they?
Oh yeah, it's coming.
But so next fall I'm going back. My favorite thing to hunt is caribou. I love caribou.
Really?
Caribou in the central Canadian Arctic. That's what I like. Just that place. I just love it. So I'm
Is
going
it just
back
the
for that.
place? I mean, the animal in and of itself.
Caribou are, so foreign to me. So they just look cool. So I
Yeah.
love hunting them. And it's one of those things where when it's right, you walk out of your tent or cabin in the morning and just look, and there's caribou everywhere, just all around you. And you're like, okay, let's go. Let's pick one out.
Yeah.
That
But
sounds
then
awesome.
where
I
it
would like
is,
to do that.
Yeah.
you're so remote. A lot of times I'll be walking, I'll be like, I may be the only person who's ever stepped on this piece of turf right now.
Oh,
There may have been nobody there before.
Step exactly there. Yeah.
And it's just flat. The tundra is, I'm from Pennsylvania, so the tundra is about as foreign to that as
Sure.
I can imagine. So I'm going back there. I've been a couple times. I'm going back. The tags are dwindling and they're getting more expensive. So I'm thinking this may be my last time chasing them. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
I think it'd be cool to be able to tell your kid you killed a reindeer.
So, reindeer
Christmas Eve.
is what they call them in Europe.
Yeah.
And I have shot 2 reindeer in Iceland.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Man, you are one cool dude.
All this talk earlier about not doing much.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't
I
have
went
harnesses on,
Just
did
feeding
they?
us a line.
It's funny. I went
Getting
there
close to the North Pole.
years ago before Iceland's a popular tourist destination now. I went there before that. And I mean, man, hardly anybody spoke English. And that language they speak is unlike anything.
Yeah.
So communication was a little bit difficult. But yeah, it's cool. You go out into the middle of nowhere. Iceland basically has 2 cities, Reykjavik on the west, Egilsstaðir in the east, and there's nothing in the middle.
Huh.
And that's where the reindeer are. So I went there just when the tourism department was starting to promote having
Yeah.
foreign hunters come.
They've got some of the most beautiful waterfalls and stuff there.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And, you can go from black volcanic rock and nothing green growing and just keep driving a little bit more. And then you're into tundra and just completely different landscape. Glaciers.
It is very high on my list to go there. I don't know. There's something about that place that really draws me.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is it the Viking in you? You think?
I think.
What about that dude that
Maybe.
jumps off them waterfalls into the ice water?
Yeah.
That Iceland where
You know that I could not do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You
not,
could go watch him do that.
That's right. I could fall in.
What about moose? Have you been moose hunting?
I've never been moose hunting.
Man, I have
No.
a strong desire to go moose hunting.
Yeah.
With my bow. I want to badly.
That would be cool.
I want to hang out with Tim Wells and watch him spear one like he just
Did
did.
you see that?
did he do a moose?
A
He just
moose.
speared a
Whoa.
moose.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
man.
bounces off the thing's shoulder. He picks it up off the ground and throws it back at him.
Throws it again.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
The moose turns and looks at him.
Yeah,
and
the
he's
moose
like,
turns like
Yeah,
to take on the defensive posture because he thinks there's another bull there,
yeah.
and he
There
throws
was.
a bunch of bull. He threw it a little forward and hit on the point of his shoulder, and then the spear just bounced off and lands back at his feet. And it's like 3 yards when he throws it.
That's very
He just picks it
symbolic.
up, and that big bull just faces him and just buries it right there. And just kills him.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, got you, buddy.
Yep, I haven't seen that one.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
Pretty
sounds
cool,
like a
pretty
Tim
cool.
Wells thing.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta throw up some props for that one. That's pretty cool. Think of him what you may, and I think I like him. I don't know
He's a
him,
nice
you know,
guy.
but
Yeah.
that was pretty smoking
Yeah.
awesome.
there's part of Tim Wells that's probably larger than that moose.
Yeah. Well, first it's tearing those alders or whatever.
Right next to
He
it.
could have reached through and grabbed it by the end.
Man, I gotta
Yeah.
see this. I
Oh,
can't.
it's incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. If he would have had a cameraman like 10 or 12 yards away filming that, where because he filmed it himself.
It
He
was
does
a
an
total
amazing.
self-film,
He does an amazing job filming himself, if you ask me. But anyhow, if there would have been a secondary, actual dedicated cameraman
That would have been pretty
from
wild.
that perspective, it would have been even that much more amazing.
Has Lancaster ever considered doing a show?
A show
Yeah.
in terms of like we kind of do.
Well,
Or like a hunting show?
yeah,
or-
like a hunting show.
Oh, a hunting.
I
show.
mean, you're constantly in the field anyways. It
You
seems
have to
like it
drag
would
a
be.
cameraman around with you. I mean, you drag one, you're probably like, this is the one time in my life I don't want to drag a cameraman
Right.
around with
I
me.
can see that.
It seems like it would be a natural progression though for them to do that.
yeah, we've never talked about it. Don't know.
Like a web show, because right now everything's YouTube anyway.
Yeah, right.
And you've already got the following and the base.
Yeah,
Man, it seems like to me it would be a good progression to do.
that could be because I know the area where we are not as well known. If you're in target archery, you probably know who we are.
Yeah.
But in the bow hunting world, we're actually not that well known.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe a TV show or web
Yeah,
show.
show or something.
Would do something like that.
Oh, I think
Man,
it'd be
that
awesome.
that would be a whole other production.
A beast.
Yeah.
It's a different animal. Isn't it?
It is.
It's so, I would say it'd be a lot more work, and I'm not discrediting what you do. It takes a lot of time. Because me and Wes have
It's
filmed
not
for
going to be
years.
me. I can promise you that. No way.
Oh man.
Did you ever think on another line? Did you ever think, like we were talking earlier, when you ended up at Lancaster and working in the shop? Did you ever think that, like, everybody that comes in this shop, if we say your name, they may not be like, who are you talking about? But as soon as they see your face,
Lancaster.
they're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah,
guy.
you got a
I
face
watch
you
you."
can't forget.
Did you ever dream? Did you ever
No.
dream you'd be such a
No.
what would you call it? A personality or
Yeah.
a known figure? I
He's a
guess.
celebrity. I mean, just
Yeah.
say it. I mean, the guy's.
I mean, I feel special to say
Yeah.
that.
It was just, like I said, it was just Rob Caulfield saying people should see this stuff without having to go to their pro show.
Yeah.
Do
So
something.
kind of organically just begin.
I
And
think
so
it's
we just
hysterical.
started
Because in
doing
here
stuff.
we've got guys that come in and they're like, hey, I watched a video online and that MFJJ guy told me something. And then there's that guy from Lancaster. Like, I think if you had a mohawk,
Yeah, do the
man,
mohawk.
you would be
So
solid.
so
We
my
need to
thing is,
train.
I don't want it to be about me. Everybody has to do their thing, and my thing is, it's the products.
Yeah.
I always wear the Lancaster jersey. It's about Lancaster. It's not about me.
Yeah.
I'm just the one. And, to your point, how it came about is I'm the one who could talk in front of a camera.
Yeah.
That's honestly how that
That's
came
a real
about.
thing.
It
Yeah,
is. It's
that was
amazing
it.
how many guys come in that, video themselves or something, and it's just like blank stares.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we filmed for years, and you'd get a new guy, and you'd put him in the hot seat in the deer stand, and he's like, all right, let's say something to camera. And I'm talking about flamboyant, loud, happy-go-lucky, don't know a stranger, red light comes on. We had one, I always think of this one in particular, but it's like he would stop and take a big swallow, and I was like, dude, push stop, just calm down, you're just going to tell me.
Just be you.
Yeah, I basically want you just to be you and tell me we're hunting tonight, hoping for a big one, got a big one in this area, we've seen something to that nature. But man, it turns into stuff.
Cars do it. Cars.
Don't look at my hands.
Yeah.
oh, man.
We're about, it looks like about 18 feet. Just tree
We're in a
twice.
tree.
Yeah. So it's a thing. So other people did they try to talk in front of the camera
Yes.
and you looked at them and people had to say,
This
There's
isn't your
one
This
I'm
isn't
thinking
your
of. I won't put her on the spot because she's awesome at what she does, and so we were like, "Oh yeah, we need to get her on camera." Turn the camera on, and all her personality just went.
"No,
Yeah.
that's real. It's a real thing. It's a phenomenon."
Yeah,
almost."
it really is.
Yeah.
Camera sucks the personality.
Right out of you.
And it adds 10 pounds.
Oh,
So
man.
they say.
I had no personality to begin with, so
Man, adds 10 pounds and sucks the life right out of it.
oh man.
But
Well,
neat. It's neat.
are we ready to wrap this thing up? So
I'd say so.
I'd say PJ's getting tired.
He's going to get up early and go
Been up
into
since 4.
Yeah. I'd say you're
What
We
sleeping.
got to get up there. I was up at 3 today.
Oh, golly.
Sat in the wind for 5
Long
hours
enough.
or so.
Yeah, long
Do
enough.
you, do you feel like you're sunburned?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did. When I finally got down out of the wind, my face was still tingling.
Yeah.
It was a serious wind this morning.
I saw that Levi killed a really nice one in Hamilton County last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice 10-pointer.
Oh, okay. I did see pictures
Yeah.
of that. Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Nice.
And I only know it was in Hamilton County because
Right,
I
right.
know that.
I know things.
Yeah, so, all right, Lathan, you want to wrap this thing up?
With what?
I don't know. It's
Uh-oh.
episode 44. And,
44.
we
Like
appreciate
it, share it. We
Yeah.
love yous. Comment if you haven't commented. This is the magnificent PJ Reilly from Lancaster Archery.
Yeah.
Thanks
He
for
is-
having me, guys.
Yeah.
He's that guy that you just memorize his name, PJ. It's a hard one. And that way, when you come in here to buy products from us, you can say, PJ said this about this particular product, and I would like to see it instead of that guy from Lancaster.
That's right.
And or MFJJ.
Yeah.
They know his name, but this is PJ Reilly. So like it, share it. Thank you everybody for watching. Comment in the comments if you want to shoot any of these bows. Come see us here at Ultra Products. If you want to play with the new Matthews and get a look at it, it's the lift with some new technology to tune, so to speak, on it. Come check that out. Anything else?
No, I think it's great, man.
Have a good one.
Peace out. Bye.